Okay, Mr. Goodwin, this is the last two questions, one for you, one for Mr. Smith, before we go to the closing arguments. Today's Charlotte Observer carries a story questioning the timing of Commissioner Long's announcement just hours before the February 29 filing deadline, not in time to allow candidates to consider their candidacy. Most folks, I think, thought that Commissioner Long was going to seek another term. In this article, your opponent says, quote, Vladimir Putin got to choose his successor too. If you are going to have a bargain, but own up to it. That's this morning's Charlotte Observer. What do you say to voters who may be concerned about what appears to be a fix with regards to your candidacy?
Well, all I can say is I wish that Commissioner Long had made his decision earlier too. I've got a baby that's due a day and a half from now, and if I had my druthers, I wish that he had made his decision earlier. But that's a decision that Commissioner Long made. When he made his decision, that's his business and his wife's business. So he made it when he did. And as I shared with the reporter, and some of what I shared didn't make it in the print. I guess they ran out of space. But I was scrambling Thursday night trying to get my paperwork together. Mr. Smith, meanwhile, was in New Orleans, already had his paperwork together, and had somebody file it for him on Friday while he was in New Orleans. He's on the record with the health insurance underwriters saying they've been planning for years to have him serve as the president of the health insurance underwriters nationally and then run for insurance commissioner in 2012. If there's any planning or so forth, we need to hear from Mr. Smith. My golly, I decided in September I wasn't running for statewide office. I chose not to run for labor commissioner again. We're going to have a baby. And I was enjoying my job. I was looking forward to working as assistant commissioner for the 7th term for Jim Long. He made his decision when he did. I wish he made it earlier. I can't control the man. Y'all know that. Y'all can't control him. But by golly, I'm the candidate in this race. John Odom filed ahead of all of us. Yeah. There's another candidate running too we're not mentioning who's a write-in. And then Mr. Smith filed from New Orleans after planning for 10 years.
Okay. Mr. Smith, I quoted you in that story. I'd like to quote your opponent. Your opponent reminds voters that you represent clients who have problems with the Department of Insurance and that, in fact, if you are elected, it will be the fox guarding the hen house. That's a quote. What can you say to voters that will give them assurances that, if elected, you will make them your first priority?
I'm glad to do that. Because for the last 6 to 7 years, all I've done is represent individuals who have problems with the insurance system. And, to me, I love that quote because it all depends on how you define who the fox is. Unlike Wayne, I haven't taken thousands of dollars in insurance company political action committee money in the last 2 years. I don't have any of that in my bank account, and I haven't spent it to pay myself back in any loans. I believe that the reality is that only one person in this race has been working hard for consumers for the last 16 years on insurance issues. I don't shy away from the fact that I wanted to serve as insurance commissioner. In fact, Commissioner Long and I had lunch together right after the election in 2004, and I told him then that when he decided he didn't want to run, I'd like to know so I could be at least given the opportunity to be prepared. Now, Wayne doesn't like the fact that I was in New Orleans on the 29th of February and that I filed because I was prepared, and I apologize. Boy Scouts, I think their slogan is be prepared. And it seemed unusual to me that the commissioner, who I have a lot of respect for, hadn't filed by the week before. And in this business, it's better to be prepared. North Carolina doesn't have a law that says someone decides not to run at the last minute, that there's an extended period of time. I wasn't the only person who was at the Board of Elections before it closed at noon. I wasn't the only person who was interested in being insurance commissioner.
30 seconds.
And the only reason I was able to file was because they filed at 11 instead of at 12, and because I was at least prepared to deal with the possibility, which to me reflects my genuine interest in being insurance commissioner, not commissioner of something.
Okay.